This video will show you how to use the Light-O-Rama sequence editor to create a new musical sequence. So this program that you see in front of you is the Light-O-Rama sequence editor. To create a new musical sequence with it, you can click on this New button in the toolbar. That will open up the New Sequence Open Sequence dialog on its New Sequence tab. Inside of the tab are a couple options, New Animation Sequence and New Musical Sequence. We want New Musical Sequence, so click on it and click OK. That will open up a file browser dialog asking us to select a media file. In other words, it wants us to select a song file, for example, an MP3, to be played whenever this sequence is played. So your lights will flash and your song will play, and hopefully they'll play in time with each other. So to select the media file, you have to know where it is on your disk. On my computer, I keep it on my C drive and in my music folder. And here are a bunch of song files. Let's select one of them and click Open. That opens up the New Musical Sequence Options dialog. There are a bunch of different options on the New Musical Sequence Options dialog. We'll get into those options in future videos, but for this video, let's keep things simple and quick. So mostly we'll just use the defaults, but we'll change a couple things. The first thing is in the channel setup section. Let's say that we have two Light-O-Rama controllers, and each one of them is a 16-channel controller. In other words, each one of these controllers has 16 plugs coming out of it, and you could plug 16 strands of light into those 16 plugs. Since you have two of those controllers, you have 32 channels total. So in this number of channels used, let's change it from 8 to 32. The other change we'll make is in the initial timings section. There are lots of options. Let's not worry about what they mean for now. We'll just choose a simple one, which is a fixed grid and 1/10 of a second. Now after you've selected all of your options, click on OK, and that creates the sequence, which you see in front of you now. Each row in the sequence represents a channel being a particular circuit on a particular controller. So you have two controllers, each of which has 16 circuits. In other words, 16 plugs that you can plug lights into. And each one of these rows, when it comes down to it, each one of these rows represents a different string of lights on a different plug on a different controller. So these first 16 channels, you'll see they're all called unit 01 dot something, unit 01.1, .2, .3, down to .16. And then the remaining ones are unit 02, .1, .2, and if you scroll down, you'll see it goes down to unit 02.16. So those are your two different controllers, unit 1 and unit 2. And your 16 channels on, or 16 circuits or plugs on each of those channels. So now if I want this channel, this circuit, to be on in a certain part of the song, I could select the On tool and select the area, and now those lights will be on during this portion of the song. If I click on play, you'll hear the song play, and you'll see that when the song progresses to here, this channel button will turn on, and when it progresses to here, it'll turn back off. So that gives you kind of an idea of how your lights will behave on that particular channel. So let's try that out and watch the channel button. Now you could also use lots of other tools. For example, the fade up tool. Maybe this channel will fade up and then fade down afterwards. Maybe a few channels will shimmer in this part of the song. Maybe they'll twinkle over here. And we can scroll in the song, scroll horizontally, which means, going further into the song. So when it gets to this part, maybe all of these channels will fade up for a while. And you can keep scrolling through the whole song. For example, here's the 16-second mark. That's 16 seconds into the song. There's 23 seconds into the song and so forth. You can scroll all the way to the right and you reach the end at slightly after 2 minutes and 8 seconds. The reason it stops there is because that's how long the song is. If you look down in the left-hand corner here, you'll see that the total time is 2 minutes, 8 seconds, and 19 hundredths of a second. Now let's scroll back to the beginning and play the song again and watch what happens to the channel buttons when it hits each of these areas that we've put lighting effects into.
Every day it's again.
So again, the channel buttons will give you an idea of how your lights will behave at various points in the song. Now, once we've created the sequence, we want to save it so that we can use it again. So to do that, you click on the Save button. Because this is the first time that we're saving this particular sequence, in other words, it's a new sequence that we just created, it's asking us for a file name that we want to save it to. And you could name it anything you want, but it's usually useful to name it in a way that'll let you remember what the sequence is. So for example, I tend to name sequences after the song itself. This song is called Every Day, so I'll name the sequence Every Day as well. Now we can close the sequence and go away and have dinner or fall asleep or whatever. Later, come back in the morning, open up the sequence editor again, and open, and here's the sequence Every Day. Click on OK, and our sequence is back. So that's about it for the new musical sequences. We'll go into further detail on a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot more detail to be had in future videos. But for now, that's it for this video. So I hope this helps.